Now, the story that I will tell is to a hypothetical group of fifth grade students, and these students are studying and learning about different regions of the United States, and they're specifically looking at different cultural and historical aspects of each of the regions. My story is based on a version by Vivian L. Thompson in her collection entitled Hawaiian Legends of Tricksters and Riddlers. Long ago on the islands of Hawaii, the art of riddling was common practice, especially among chiefly figures. Riddling was a difficult art to master, and few chiefs had the time that was required of the training needed to master the art of riddling. One chief came up with a cruel way to build the biggest collection of riddles in all the land. This is the story of the riddling chief of Puna. Now, in the district of Puna, there was a man of royal blood. He was a chief, and his biggest ambition was to build the greatest collection of riddles in all the land. He became known as the Riddling Chief of Puna. This chief developed a cruel way to build his collection. He often would ask young men to go out and across the land in search of the rarest and newest riddles that he could find. The young man would bring the riddles back to the chief and share the riddles that he had learned. Once the chief had learned the new riddle, the chief would turn on the young man. He would tell the young man a riddle of his own. "Mo-ke-ki, a mo-ke-ki, answer my riddle or bake in the oven," the chief would say. One by one, young men failed to answer the chief's riddle and met the unfortunate fate of burning in his oven. Now, one of the few remaining young men was a man named Hupai, and he was the love of his parents' life. Unfortunately, Hupai had an older brother, but he had been sent out in search of riddles for the chief and had been unable to answer the chief's riddle. Hupai's brother had baked in the oven 6 months earlier. One day, Hupai found out that it was now his turn to go out in search of riddles for the chief. "Oh no," his mother cried, "we're going to be childless. Hupai, even if you can find the rarest riddles in all the land, you're sure to bake in the chief's oven unless you can find the answer to his death-dealing riddle." "Well," Hupai said, knowing that Puna was slowly becoming a district of old men. Hupai said determinedly, "I will find the answer to that riddle." So Hupai set out across the island, going to the districts of Kau, Kona, Kohala, and to Hamakua and Hilo, and back down to the district of Puna. Now, on his way back to Puna, he was strolling through the village of Ola'a, when he stumbled across an elderly couple. They were doggedly cultivating their lot. Hupai approached the couple and said, "Kapuna, let me help you. You're far too old to be working in your yard." "Auwe," the old woman said, "there'll be no rest for us, for our son and our grandson were both unable to answer the chief's riddle and have baked in his oven." Hupai picked up a tool and began helping the couple work in their yard, and as they worked, they talked. Hupai said, "Well, it is on this same journey that I have come. I have been sent out by the chief to search for more riddles, and I am looking for the answer to his death-dealing riddle." "Oh," the old man said, "if only you could find the answer to that riddle, you would avenge the deaths of our son and our grandson, and so many other young men that have died before them." How did that riddle go again?" the old man asked. "The riddle is but one line and then death," Hupai said. "Mo-ke-ki, a mo-ke-ki." "Ah," the old man said, "that's right. You know, I was once an attendant on the current chief's court, his grandfather's court, and often a riddle just like that was told. If my memory serves me right, I think it had something to do with body parts." "Hupai, thank you so much for helping us in our yard. Please stay and eat and rest with us for the night." Pupai took them up on their offer, ate and rested, and in the morning walked back to the district of Puna. On his way back, he pondered what the old man had said. It has something to do with body parts. Pupai thought, maybe the answer has to do with Hawaiian words that have the syllable ki, as in the riddle. He thought, there's ki no, which is body. There's kihi po, which is head. Maybe the answer to the riddle lies in this direction. He thought he would have to risk it, for he had no other options. Pupai arrived back in Puna and approached the chief. The chief was standing between his grand house and his fiery emu. The chief gave him a slimy grin. "Pupai, you must be tired from your journey. Go home, eat, rest, and in the morning, come back and you'll share your riddles with me." Pupai went home, ate, and rested. And while he was doing this, the chief's guards prepared the emu. 2 men laid tinder and kindling. 2 men lit the fire. 2 men laid a layer of grass. 2 men laid a layer of tea leaves. And 2 men laid a layer of matting. All night, the emu baked. Now in the morning, Pupai once again approached the chief. And again, the chief was standing between his grand house and his fiery emu. The chief gave a wave of his hand, and at once his guards formed a square around the chief and Pupai that was 40 feet long and 40 feet wide, large enough so that no man could hear the riddle nor the answer. The chief nodded at Pupai, and Pupai began. "O chief of Puna, O collector of riddles, I have brought you a treasure for your collection." "Well, let me hear your riddles," the chief said to Pupai. Pupai began his first riddle. "I have a house with 8 rafters, a house with 1 pole. I carry it with me. It gives me shelter." The chief thought about this riddle. A house you carry with you? What could this be? Pupai had to give him the answer. "It's an umbrella," Pupai said. "Ah, very clever. Very clever indeed," the chief said. With that, he gave a wave of his hand, and 2 guards walked over to the emu and peeled away the layer of matting. Then they returned to their places. "Another riddle, by chance?" the chief asked Pupai. "By chance I do," Pupai said, and he began his second riddle. "My old man cries, day and night, through rainy season and dry, through cold and warm weather. Listen, you can hear him now." Pupai told this riddle so well that the chief instinctively put a hand to his ear and listened. The surf, the chief cried. Pupai nodded. "Yes, you're right. The answer is the surf." Very clever indeed," the chief said. And with that, he gave a wave of his hand, and 2 guards walked over to his emu and peeled away the layer of grass. "Now, another riddle by chance?" asked the chief. "By chance I do," said Pupai. He began his third riddle. "I have a twin. The twin is with me from the day I crawled, with me until the day I die. I cannot escape him. Yet when the storms come, he deserts me." The chief thought. What could this be? Pupai had to give him the answer. "The answer is a shadow," Pupai said. "Ah, very clever indeed," the chief said. With that, he gave a wave of his hand, and 2 men walked to the emu and peeled away the layer of tea leaves. "Another riddle by chance?" the chief asked. No, no more riddles, Pupai said. Ah, well then I have a riddle for you, the chief said with a sneering grin. Moke ki, a moke ki. Answer my riddle or bake in the oven. Pupai took a deep breath and answered bravely. Moke ki, a moke ki. I know the answer to moke ki. The chief was stunned. He couldn't believe what he had heard. I don't believe you, he said. You cannot know the answer to moke ki. If you know the answer, then I am sure to bake. Where did you find the answer to moke ki? The chief said. Pupai took another deep breath and said a silent prayer to his gods. Ki-he-po, a ki-he-po. I found the answer in my head, a ki-he-po. The riddle has been answered. It's time to feed the emu. Its food, your body. Ki-no. And with that, the chief was frantically looking around for a way to escape. Pupai had answered the riddle. Slowly, the guards closed in on the chief, forming a grim circle around him. There was no man who was unhappy about the fate this chief was about to meet, for there was no man who had not lost a son, a grandson, or a friend to this chief's evil ways. Pupai shouted loudly, by this chief's own conditions, he forfeits his life. And with that, the guards tossed him into the oven that he had made. Now that was the end of the riddling chief of Puna. And to this day, if you visit the land of Puna and ask one of its residents for a riddle, they'll shake their head and say, no riddles. For it was this that the bones of our ancestors baked in the emu.